Yeah, we've got a good question to start us off from Ninjo. It says, I have had to tap into my emergency fund. I still have roughly 1.5 months of expenses still in savings. So my question is, do I pause my investing to save back up, or do I just not invest as much? I thought this was a great question and a great financial order of operations question. So what do you have to say to him?
Well, here's what I like, Ninjo. You had an emergency fund. So first, let's start there and say kudos to you for having funds available when something happened. Now, you did not say what caused you to drain your emergency fund, but I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it was an emergency. That's awesome. That's awesome that's there. Well, now, in the spot that you sit, you have 1.5 months of expenses currently sitting in your emergency fund. Here's what makes me nervous. What happens if another emergency happens? What happens if there's another unknown that comes your way? I worry, I'm concerned that you may be a little too lean. So when I think about my personal financial situation, and I would encourage when you think about yours, you have to think about it through the lens of risk management. What are the things that are going to cause me to be too risky, or what are things going to help me remove risk? And I would think that only having 1.5 months, you know that our standard fares, we want you to have 3 months to 6 months of living expenses in emergency reserves. If you're at 1.5, I think you got to prioritize building that back up. And fortunately, the FOO can be the tool to help you figure out how and on what trajectory to do that.
That's right. If you go to moneyguy.com/resources, you can download your own copy of the FOO. And this is important. I wrote down 3 quick things. First of all, it's what we think versus the reality. I think when a lot of people find out about the financial order of operations, they just assume you'll go from steps 1 all the way through 9, kind of like you're walking up steps. However, this is not the way life happens to us. Life has a lot of curveballs, has a sense of humor. It's not uncommon that you'll have emergencies, you'll have life changes. Your FOO will change over time. And there's nothing wrong if you think about the fact that you were obviously beyond step 4 of the financial order of operations, because steps 1 and 4 are your cash steps within the FOO. And now you're having to take a step back because you're back to 1.5 months of emergency expenses, or you said that's what you're spending. So now I'd ask you, go do the research to figure out, are you 3 months, are you 6 months, or even beyond 6 months? And then that's going to answer your question. It's okay to go back to step 4, put all your efforts into that. However, once you cross into, if you figure out and you say, hey, maybe I'm 3 months to be comfortable, but because I'm in a great career where I could change jobs easily, I don't have a lot of people counting on my money if there's an emergency. So I do 6 because it gives me peace of mind, but 3 would actually get the job done. I think once you cross whatever that safe harbor amount is, it's okay then to transition into this hybrid method where, yes, you are putting more towards your emergency reserve step 4, but then also you're putting money to work in steps 5 and 6 through your employer plan. But just make sure you triage so that you're too far out on the risk spectrum. That's what Bo was alluding to. That emergency reserves is to keep you from swimming naked whenever you get into an emergency situation.
I love it.
No skinny dipping. No skinny dipping.
That's awesome.